we competed in the second half. We didn't compete in the first half. We were second to everything. We were slow to closing people down. The ball was moving too slow. The first half lacked anything that looked like a team that was supposed to be fighting for a playoff spot, and a real opportunity tonight to jump, a couple more points ahead. So that's what the first half looked like. And the second half looked completely the opposite. It looked like a team that was playing for everything and was fighting for every ball, was competing in their challenges, was looking to play forward and run forward and put balls in front of the goal. And it's the difference. At the end of the day, tactics are irrelevant if you got to win the duels, you got to win the fight, you got to win all the scrappy stuff in there, and then you can start to play soccer. And we lost all the scrappy stuff in the first half, and we didn't get close to them at all defensively. And so they dictated the game and got 2 goals ahead deservingly. And the response was fantastic, and that's what it needs to look like, though. But it can't at this time of year. It can't look like what it looked like in the first half. It has to look like what it looked like in the second half.
Was that pretty much the message you had in halftime?
Yeah, I didn't spend a lot of time at halftime talking about the first half because I just said flat out the energy and the conviction and the fight and the competitive side of it can't look like that. But so we got on to setting ourselves up in the second half, making a couple switches. Jonah and Vic were both struggling physically. So we made a couple switches and tried to shift the energy and tried to shift the momentum and asked them to play forward, put two forwards up, pushed a little bit more numbers high, said don't want to play in the back anymore, just put the ball forward and let's go defend and compete and press and let's try to change our energy level in the game. It wasn't about keeping possession, it was about us shifting the energy in the game because we had none in the first half really. And so once the energy shifted, then we were able to start playing and we were able to start creating some chances because then we were actually moving at a real speed. And so once that started to happen, then we started to gain control of the game. As we all know, when you start chasing games at 2-0, then it's really about putting out fires sometimes and having to deal with some things. And the guys in the back did a good job of managing some difficult transitions and some moments that looked like they were going to get a little fuzzy, and we dealt with them and kept the momentum on to get the goals we needed to at least get the draw out of it.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Next we'll go to Josh Gusman.
Hey, Greg, thanks for talking to us.
It
got a little chippy there in the second half, certainly, maybe even some in the first half. Did you see anything on that red card that got eventually changed to a yellow card?
I didn't. It was because there was a tackle, and within the tackle, I was kind of still trying to pay attention to what was going with that, so I didn't see what was going on the other side of it, which is what they were actually trying to sort out the whole time. And then I was more concerned about how much time was going to be in the added at the end of the game than I was about how that was going to play itself out. So.
And whenever you look at the second half, I know sometimes we've talked in the past about the verticality, right? The directness sometimes that maybe you guys are lacking. Did you see more of that in the second half? Certainly, I know you've talked about that, but is that something that needs to be more integrated into how you guys play?
Yeah, I think it's we'll talk about this probably after most games. It's going to be the difference between us being goal dangerous and not being goal dangerous is how vertical we run, how vertical we pass, how much we're willing to threaten the space behind the opposition, how much we're willing to play between lines and build speed and momentum and all these kinds of things. And so, in the second half, obviously, it was at times with a little bit of reckless abandon at times because you're pushing for 2 goals. But the idea of play forward, move forward, after you play a pass, try to get in behind the back line. The basic principles of attacking to break lines and to get into goal-scoring positions started to come out. But it's just, again, it comes with conviction and commitment to making those runs. Sometimes you get the ball, sometimes you don't, but you still got to make the run. And we started to get that as the game progressed.
And one more from me before I go about Sebastian Lletget, the goal that he scored and just sort of what you asked him to do in that second half.
Yeah, we've been talking to Seba for, the better part of the last week about taking up higher positions, being more goal dangerous, being more assist dangerous. His tendency as a player, and he's outstanding at keeping possession, spinning away, doing all of those things, but as I spoke to him for a while yesterday, I want him to not play to his default, which is to keep possession. I want him to play to attack and to create chances and to score goals. And if those things aren't on, then go to your default next. Don't just go to your default at the beginning. And him breaking the line and running through and taking a chance there meant the difference in the game, really. And That was an aggressive run that I don't know, you can ask him, but maybe a week and a half ago or 2 weeks ago he doesn't make. He sits out a little bit and tries to find the ball at his feet. But in this game, he's really tried this last week, and I thought he was very good in the last match as well. But this week he's really tried to emphasize more attacking runs, getting himself higher on the field, all those kinds of things, which I think is what's going to make him more influential in matches.
Thanks, Greg.
Mm-hmm.
And last question will go to Salvador Perez.
Thank you. Hi, Greg. How are you? Nice to see you. Salvador Perez here from Mexico. I have two questions. First of all, in the fourth game without a loss for this LA Galaxy, which can be the key against Sporting Kansas City, remembering that in the last match against Sporting Kansas City, LA Galaxy lost. Thank you.
Look, I think it doesn't matter what match or who we're playing at this point. The energy that we had in the second half, the commitment that we had in the second half has to be a starting point. The willing to compete, to sprint, to deal with the duels in the right way has to be a starting point. The rest of that is then it's about how we play. And, we lost 2-0 at our place last game, but in the run of play, we actually had a lot of the game, and they took their 2 chances, and we didn't. But we were. It was an early game in the year, and we were happy with our performance. Not necessarily not happy losing the game, but they're a very good team, and you can't let them have time on the ball, and you can't let them manipulate you and move you around. You've got to win your duels. You got to close people down. You got to make things difficult for them. And you got to get on the ball as much as you can to make them have to defend and have to defend their goal. So I think I answered the question about SKC, but it doesn't matter at this time of year. You got to outcompete the opposition or at least match the competitive level, and then whatever you've gained as a team over the course of the 31 matches that you've played, you start to play football at the best level you can and that you have in the moment. But you can't get outcompeted. That's for sure.
And the second question, Greg, there was information about a commitment of Julian Araujo for the Mexican national team against Ecuador. Can you give us information about this situation if LA Galaxy didn't give the permission for Julian?
Yeah, it's a simple answer. That nobody's going anywhere. We're in the middle of a playoff run, and it's not a window, and these guys are going to be here with their club and playing the game.